what you're going to do, how you're going to get it done in the midst of us, in spite of us, and the promises that you have kept, the ones that have not been fulfilled, and the assurance that we can't go wrong by trusting you. So we thank you for that in Jesus' name. So tonight, and there are, let me give you 12 reasons to hope, like 12 reasons to hope. 12 reasons to hope. Now, we've talked before that you can go certain amount of time without water, certain amount of time without food. You can go hours and days without water, and even without air. Is that you can go longer without air, food, and water than you can without hope. And in fact, hope it can shut you down faster than no water, no air, no food. It's that medically, it's just a few minutes. It's just not very long that you can go without hope because there has to be something you're looking forward to. And if you're not looking forward to something, then everything shrinks. That's why sometimes you've been in or you've heard it said they just gave up. And that means the hope. And once you say gave up like surrendering. If you picture it, they said the police have you cornered and they say you might as well give up. You come out like whatever, I'm done. I'm not trying anymore. I'm tired of fighting. What's the same way with hope is that you give up, and everything starts to shut down. Everything starts to shut down. So, in other words, so you could take hope, you could take goals, you could take aspirations, you could somewhat tie it in together to say, is there something that I'm looking forward to? Is there something that I'm hopeful about? Is there something I'm trying to see past right now? As soon as as soon as your routine becomes your normal, and this is just the way that it is, you're sinking already. All you're doing is getting ready for the same thing all over again. Just another day, and I'm doing the same thing. You're basically existing, and life is being sucked out of you at that stage. It's starting to drain because there's nothing that you're able to see past what you're experiencing right now. And here's the other thing, another challenge is trying to keep things the way that they are. That too is an indication of no hope. You're just trying to keep it together, keep things stable, keep things normal, keep things under. You find yourself doing something like that. Just don't mess it up. I just want to keep things. This is good for me right now. This is steady for me. Just kind of chill. Just don't mess with nothing. Don't mess it up. You find yourself doing things like that. Come on, we need to talk to this because you didn't know that is a hopeless perspective, and you thought we were doing good, right? Trying to keep it together. Well, keeping it together says I don't have to think. I just this is what I do. I mean, how many times have you ever washed your face and you said, I need to do it 3 times to the left, 4 times to the right, turn it a little bit over here? How many of you do that? How many times do you count how many times you wrap it around your face? You're not even thinking about it. You're just doing it. And it might be a good idea to think about it, to consider something, because that perspective is let's keep it as it is. Don't mess up my day. Don't mess with my house. Don't mess with this. Don't change anything. That's just existing, and that's not living. So, how many of us are just existing? Let's talk. We'll stop right here before we go there. How many of you just did you know? I mean, did you know that that's what it was? That I just want to keep it together. Just don't mess with me. I don't need you. I won't make no trouble. I don't bother nobody, and I don't want nobody to bother me. You've kind of lived like that. Leave me alone. I'll leave you alone. Don't mess with me. I don't mess with you. But if you do mess with me, I'm going to mess with you.
What's wrong with living like that?
Uh, all right. It, it is not hope filled. It's hopeless.
Okay, but
You wondering why?
yeah, because if I want to live a peaceful life, then I'm hoping
You can tell she's been in
that
church for a while when she
my
kind of did it like
peace
that, right?
remains. So I'm trying to see what it looks like to like what would I be hoping for? Like
If
chaos?
you said if you satisfied, right?
I'm peaceful. And I want to stay peaceful. I want peace to stay in my home. I want peace to stay around
Okay,
me.
okay. So because you're peaceful, does that mean it can't get better?
It can get better.
You're answering your question.
Okay.
You see how you're
I
answering
get
your own
that.
question?
Okay.
Okay. I got peace, but could it go to another level? And the answer is absolutely it could. We're getting along now. I mean, we're getting along. But is there a better getting along than just getting along? See, well, go on. I'm still listening. Go on. Somebody want to add something to that because here's the deal. Here's the deal. I mean, this is really it. But go on, Brother Roland.
Yeah, that's something I don't want to live my life just existing. With no hope for nothing else, and living, trying to keep things all together and living what I've experienced myself, trying to just not break things, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of mode.
Are you saying that's where you are or that's not where you are?
That's not where I are,
Okay.
and that's not where I want to be.
Okay.
You're not open for, in my mind, you're not open for change or to make things better if you have a mindset like that.
All right, okay, now I'm going to challenge you with that. It's the same way I've heard that same kind of sound. If they came in and changed the rules at work, are you okay?
Yes.
When they changed them the last time, were you okay?
Yes.
You had nothing to say about it?
Nope.
Nothing. Think about it. Did you have anything to say about it?
Not that I can remember.
Okay, that doesn't answer the question. That's a great cop-out right there about that. I'm not sure. So let me ask, how are you with change?
Good if it's for the better.
You see how you qualified it? How are you with change? If they consult you first, do you like it? Or if they don't consult you, do you not like it?
Depends. Well,
okay, Mr. Political, let's try this one again. Let's try this all over again.
I'm open to change, period. I mean, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, if as long as it ain't gonna.
But you keep fixing it now. Just keep on fixing it. Hard to get out of it, but keep on anyway. Keep trying to get out of it. The reality is, here's another example. It doesn't show that you have hope if you're trying to prevent from losing something you think you got to keep. No, I don't think I can, but yeah. It's not showing that you have hope if you think you're trying to keep something and you're not trying to lose it. Just as an example. You think you get X number of dollars and you're trying to keep X number of dollars in savings, and if it doesn't stay there, you get uncomfortable. You get all uncomfortable because you got a number that you've determined is what is needed. That's not hope-filled. Hopeless. Because your trust was in the number. Oh, it's so much about your trust was in the number. Because you determined this number will keep me at a certain place. And is that really true? Because the confidence was in the plan for the number. If I can just keep it right here. If I get less than that, I'm concerned. I need to transfer something else over. to make for out. See how I go? See how I go? See how I go? See at the same way. So when you find yourself trying to not lose something, and you go safe or guarded or protective or doing everything to keep it in a certain space, that's not hope. That's control. That's control. Well, you say, well, wait a minute. How is that control? It's control because you're trying to make sure yourself that it stays a certain way. And it'll get you so caught up. You get so caught up. Where is it? Because you got to ask, what is your trust? Is it in me, how I'm going to fix it and keep it? Or is it in him? I want you to like me. So I'm going to do everything I can for you to keep liking me. Is that hope filled or hopeless? So I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that you keep liking me. I want you to hang out with me. And so when you don't hang out with me, so in other words, if it's something that I know is going to make you, I'm going to do that. So I've stepped into pleasing and not being hope-filled. And not being hopeful. Oh, can you see the behavior? You see how it plays out? See how it plays out? If you operate in fear of, I got to make sure of something, and this is how I can make sure, you can't make sure. Because you're trying to make sure says that is not hope-filled. Yes, ma'am.
How do you manage your hope and your goals?
Well, if you get it right, they all connected. I strive towards something, but I know I don't have the last word. Ephesians 3:20 says, he adds to what you plan so you can keep pushing. You keep going, but it's not limited or restricted to where you are right now. To where you are right now. I mean, you just got to know, people could walk out on you like today, and there's nothing you can do to stop them or to keep it from happening. Yeah, whoever they will, tell them, let them join. We're glad they listening, so they had something to say. So I mean, the reality is that you can't do that. You can so-called go out of your way to try to do something, say I am assured, and you could get fired tonight. And you've done everything that they have suggested, and you followed it to the book, and they decided one day that's enough. And you say, well, I couldn't see how they did that. How could they do that? You're confused. You wonder, how could they do that? How could it be that somebody's been with somebody, and then they decide, I don't want to be with them, and then they walk, and then you got to say, but I did everything. I did this, I did that, I tried to do this, I tried to do that, and you thought that was enough, and you found out that you were basing it on what you did and what you were trying to protect, and it had nothing to do with it because you were hopeless, not hope-filled. This is a totally different scenario here. You can't. Okay, I'm listening some more. Let's.
So Pastor, how am I to be a good steward
of
my monies?
She's stuck on that money thing, right? We can tell where her head is.
I can't move past. I need help. I need to understand.
How many lines of money do you have? Because you put a plural on it. How many lines?
I'm speaking it into existence. My monies.
All right.
Don't look at my bank. Like, I won't look at my bank account, but they email you when the funds get insufficient. So I won't look. But then, how am I to navigate that? If you can speak more to that, because my mind is blown.
Because you already knew you didn't have enough. What are you talking about? I mean, how can you be surprised when it says insufficient when you had X and you use X? I mean, that's pretty clear that it's going to go the other way. So, now there are some people who will actually that's why you need to have overdraft protection. If you know you're one of those kind of folk, get a checking account with overdraft protection. When you go there, you still covered. I mean, and that's how you do that. If you know you're going to do that, if you know you have that tendency, you need a checking account with overdraft.
So
You'll still have to pay. You just would have bought you a few days. A few days. Right. Yes, ma'am.
so how do we differentiate putting our hope in him and not in things or outcomes?
You said how do we
Different-
how do we
not put our hope in things, goals and outcomes. How do we differentiate putting that, making sure we're putting our hope in him and not in just those things that we're just hoping
the
for?
same way what you just did? You're keeping the mic from your child. Or you could let your child have the mic. But you know you're taking the mic away from. You could let it go there. You chose to keep it away from because you could have let it go there.
Okay. So we're not becoming hopeless. You know, never mind.
So, okay, go on.
Okay, I might need you to walk back up with me
Okay.
a little bit because you talked about we shouldn't look to make sure certain things will happen because we can't control, like if someone walks out of your life, if
Right.
you get fired, et cetera, et cetera. I've also, I believe I recall you teaching us that we need to do what we're humanly able to do. So in that sense, I'm thinking there are some things I need to make sure that I do. So I'm trying to reconcile the difference.
Oh, sure. Pretty simple. You're not trusting your efforts to be the ultimate security piece that you need. Your
Okay.
best effort is to be given to him,
Mm-hmm.
not kept from him. All right, there goes another one right there. That's a
That's a tweet.
That's a tweet.
That's a post. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tweet. Your best effort should be given to him, not kept from him.
Okay. And then I had to say this because I'm hearing this song, Donnie McClurkin, in my head.
Which one?
After you've done all you can, you just stand.
Mm-hmm.
Is this what we're talking about? Does that song relate to what we're talking about tonight?
In Ephesians 6, it says, let's go to what that passage says. In that way, at least the song is supposed to be based on. Ephesians 6, starting at verse 13. Take unto you the whole armor, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. Stand, therefore, notice, after you've done all to stand, stand therefore. But notice it changes. Now it starts to change. Having your loins girded about with truth, having on the breastplate of righteousness. Then it goes on to say, you stand now in the strength of the Lord. Okay. It shifts. It shifts from you've humanly done. Mm-hmm. Now that can only go so far. You need the whole armor. He says, now this is what you're standing in, because now your humanity has run out of capacity.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, there goes another one. Your humanity will run out of capacity. And at that point, you got to make a decision. When your humanity runs out of capacity, you've got to ask yourself, do you want more humanity or the supernatural? And what he's telling us is, I need for you to just think. I gave you everything. You're not your own. I want you to just use what I've given you, knowing that there are limitations. And I want you to understand your limitations because they always lead you back to me. It's like the extremities of humankind opens up the door for the capacity of the divine. The extremities or limitations of humanity leads to the capacity of the divine. Because it opens up the door.
Okay. So my next question. So can we not experience the divine or the supernatural unless we do something human? Like, I would love to just have divineness all the time, but is it contingent on something that we do?
All right, so you become a candidate. All right, listen at this passage. Ephesians 3:20. Now unto him that is able to do exceeding abundant. Now notice these terms. Exceeding, go well past, abundant, flourish, above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us, which is his spirit. So in other words, he's saying, until you max out humanly. All right, here's another one. You have to max out humanly to be a candidate for divine intervention. In other words, you've got to exhaust. Another way of saying it, you have to exhaust everything he's made you a steward over in order to become a candidate for divine intervention. Because it does not become divine intervention until you utilize everything he's already given you. And so sometimes a request of God, quote, intercession, is premature if we've not exhausted now. Part of that has something to do with you allowing someone to talk to you who's further down the road than you, just like going to a physician to get a thorough exam. You know you're experiencing something. You know something isn't right. But you don't have all the tools to be able to appropriately determine what it is. So you have to go there, and they bring in a whole new spectrum. Now, that's what it's like when somebody's more spiritually mature and you talk about your challenge. They have a wider perspective to provide some insight that you can't see, because this is your bandwidth. This is your spiritual bandwidth, and you can't see past that. And so oftentimes when we say, well, I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to talk to the Lord, he's saying, no, there's somebody with a wider bandwidth that can see further than you can see. And if you let them even hear you, they could probably say, you know, this is what you need to do. Someone, this was hilarious. Someone was called me today, and they said they had somebody else on the phone. She said, I told them they need to talk to you. And I told them that I know I need to talk to you too. Said, but I'm not going to talk to you right now, and I know I need to because you peel back the layers too fast. So I'm telling her that she needs to talk to you, and that's what you're going to do for her, but I'm not ready for that to happen to me, and I know I'm not, because that's why I haven't talked to you. Okay? Because now you're faced with a decision that you could pray about. Now, beforehand, we could pray about it. I'm going to talk to God about it because you didn't want to own it. Okay, all right. Now, so that's why we keep hiding. We'll hide behind prayer. I'm not going to talk to God about it. But you need to talk to some of his more mature ones to say, so they can help you to see. And then that means then you got some more humanity to act out rather than anticipating divine intervention. God ain't said nothing yet. He's not. Have you found yourself thinking, is God hearing me? I have to ask you the next question. Have you talked to someone more spiritually mature with a wider bandwidth to help you to see something you can't see? Or are you expecting God to dive in? He's like, I already got your answers all around you. You going to talk to him or not? Now, how about that one? I'm going to keep talking to the Lord because I know he's going to answer me. Yeah, he is, but he's saying, not yet. Okay, we're still working through this. We're still working through this. So if here's the other thing. We can go into protect. There's a protect and control mode that we can go into to try to keep our stuff and to prevent from losing something or to try to protect it in such a way. Now, did you know you could do everything you want to with your lawn or your garden, and you can do everything that you want to, and you can put down right fertilizer, do all of that, do everything you can. But nighttime comes, and there are other elements you can't see and control that at night they could come and destroy everything around the edges, do some things that are there, and you've done everything you thought was enough to protect it, and you wake up and the thing has been damaged. You're trying to figure out how did it happen. It's because those things are uncontrollable, and it's not. So you can see these fragments of it all. And here's the deal: you don't try to protect what only God has given you because you can't. You let that soak. What do you think you just heard? What do you think you just heard?
Well, repeating what you said is we can't protect what God has given us because it's not in our control. So that means, like, I don't know, for example, our children. Sometimes we try to protect our children. God gave us the children. But especially, well, even whatever age they are, we can't control things. Like, we can't control their behaviors, we can't control their career path, any of that. Even if God were to decide to call them home, we can't control that. That's what I think I'm hearing you say.
Right, and you can't protect it. I'm going to shield them. Hello? I'm going to shield them. Yeah, you're the shield. Guess who get hurt if the shield's trying to protect? Who gets hurt? The shield. So there's a lot of parents who've taken hits that were never intended for them because they wanted to be a shield. So keep being a shield. You'll have bumps and bruises and cuts and scars and lacerations and everything. And you know what? They are gone on without any of those same bumps and bruises and shields and lacerations that they should have assumed, but because you wanted to be this loving shield, it will always cost because you're trying to protect what was given to you by him.
And that's everything. He's given us everything. That means everything, not just children, but every single thing that we have.
We can easily verbalize it, but in the practice of a day-to-day, what does it look like? What does it look like? Right. Right.
You know, Pastor's like you buy a house and you want a garage, so you can put your car in there to protect it from the weather and things like that. But the tree can fall on the garage, and the car's still damaged. So I get it.
And it's a great garage. I mean, great garage. Great garage. And then you're seeing some cars parked out on the street untouched, right? right. And I mean that's the reality. That's the reality. Okay. Now let me give you another example. The whole marriage thing. Forever and a day and everything else that goes along with it, and to have and to hold and whatever you want to say. And but the reality is this: if God says he will find his favor, I give, a man can't keep the woman. If you want me to help you, I'm just going to tell you. The man can't keep the woman. He can't keep her. He can't keep her. Ooh, man. Didn't know we end up right here, but we here now. So here's the deal. If God gave, now let's go back to what we talked about. What God gives, can you protect? Can you keep? Because he gave. It wasn't human. It wasn't humanity. Are you fine with that? So see, if it was divine, then can a human protect divinity? Can a human protect a divine gift? But how many try?
We get stewardship mixed up with protecting.
We got all kinds of stuff going on in the name of Jesus. And it's all in the name of Jesus. Bless his name. Yeah, bless his holy name. Holy and righteous and everlasting eternal name. When you understand, it changes everything. You won't be up at night. You won't be tracking vehicles. It's a whole lot of stuff you won't be doing. It's a whole lot of stuff folk won't be doing. Radar, the location finder, and everything. It's a whole lot of stuff. Checking in, looking late at night on bank accounts and all that other kind of stuff. Giving allotments, allowances, and telling me you can do this, but you can't do that. You better not do this. You're gonna do this. I'm the man. You did. You ain't going through all that stuff because you realize it's divine. It's divine. Hey, I mean, it's divine. It's divine. Go to sleep. It's like, come on. I mean, go. Listen. In all honesty, I'm probably asleep before Gwen every night. I have no idea as to what's going on. I got no idea. So even if I was trying to keep up with her, I couldn't. Even if I was trying, I'm going to go to sleep. And she's going to be wild. And I'm going to sleep. I'm gone. I'm completely out. She said, what you doing? I said, I'm headed to bed. And she's just getting started. I'm like, come on, I ain't trying to do all this stuff. So, no. I mean, that's the reality. So therefore, if it's divine, I mean, just like the deal is, there's an anointing on me. I can't protect it. I can't protect it. What I do is I got to make sure that I don't misuse it, but I can't protect it because I didn't give it to me. And I don't have control over it. I don't have control over it. This stuff goes all over the place. I have no control over it. And I can't decide, well, you know what? I'll be unanointed in this situation.
You're going to put a pause on your anointing.
Yeah, in this situation, I ain't got none. You follow? Now, I mean, are you following this? I mean, that's what it boils down to. If it's given from him, and so trying to hold on. That's why it is. That's why people age prematurely. I'm going to tell you, people age prematurely. They get stressed. They get high blood pressure. They get stuff. And because my answer is, this stuff comes as a result of trying to hold on to something you can't hold on to. Trying to protect something you cannot protect because it's not humanity driven. He gave it. And so when you understand that, it's like, wait a minute. If God gave you the job, you can't keep yourself from being fired. Are you understanding this? You can't keep yourself from being fired. You need to go there, put your head down, take care of business. Now, if you got it another way, you ought to be concerned. So now that says you got to stop for a moment and think, what am I trying to protect? What am I trying to control? And then I got to ask myself, what's really behind that? And do you know what it boils down to? It's a fear issue. It's an issue of fear that I might lose something. Now when I'm operating in fear, that's a spirit. And since God didn't give it to her, then that means I'm working against God. Because he didn't give me the spirit, and I'm working against him, trying to take something that he gave and make it mine. So I'm making sure. Now I become the guardian. Me. Because at some point, because what happens is at some point, you will go to sleep. You will get disoriented. Eventually you will. Now what are you able to do when you're disoriented and sleepy? You can't concentrate, you can't focus, so you're going to lose it anyway. Okay. Even on your best day, you need sleep. All right, kind of walk through that. We just here at this stage of understanding what's divine and what is not. What's divine and what is not. To say, how did you get it? How did you end up with it? How did you end up where you are? You just got to think about how did you end up in this space? And then you got to go back and ask yourself, how much have I been trying to protect and how some of that's got distorted, messed up, got away from me because I had my hands on it. And I wasn't, in other words, I wasn't flowing because when God, you got to understand, when God is in it, it flows and it's not complicated. It gets complicated when we complicate it because we get in it. See, life is not complicated. We complicate it.
So Tracy has hope when it comes to money. I got controlling.
And how's it working for you?
I'm leaning toward the hope.
Because it's like...
Hope keeps the peace.
Because you didn't make any money, you can't print any money, and you can't make anybody put your name on the check and give it to you. So that says you're on the wait and see end all the way. All the way. Yeah, when you play it all the way out, it's got to be like, wait a minute, this is my money. Really? He says everything is his. Everything is his. But then our humanity kicks in and wants some control. Love to call stuff mine. Love to call stuff mine.
Could you talk about what Tawanda mentioned about the stewardship and protecting, like the difference between the two?
If I gave you $20 and said, I need for you to get the most out of this, so we'll go back to the parables that Jesus gave. He says, I'm going to give you this. You didn't do anything to earn it. I'm going to give you this. And what I'm going to come back and ask you, what did you do with it to show that you appreciated what I gave to you? Now that's being the steward. Because what that says is, I gave this to you, and I'm giving this to you to say, let me see how you honor me with it. Ultimately, how will you honor me with it? That's being the steward. You honor who gave the gift. You honor who gave the gift. How do you honor? Is that it's through gratitude that it's reflected that without that, the circumstance, situation, or you would not be in the space that you're in now. It's because he placed something, he intervened and did something to change the circumstance that you were in and said, because of that, how do you look now that I've done that? What does it look like now? That's where he wants us to be. And so then we have to say, because you have to ask, you say, I earned this, I deserve this, and to say, really? Okay, based on what? Because there are people, you got to understand, there are people who work harder than all of us who have less to show for it. And not because they wasted it, not because they did. They work harder for less. So even our work ethic in comparison to other folk, and we talk about what we deserve, but then you look at how hard some other people work in comparison, and the numbers are less for them, then it's got to say, I'm probably not working so hard when it all boils down. I'm not really working that hard in terms of what's coming my way in comparison to how hard they're working and what's coming their way. And it's just was grace that God gave us stuff. And we know we're doing half speed. We're doing half speed and we know it. And he said, you took me for granted because I increased you and you did less. And you did less. And you did less. Because it says, if unto whom much is given, much is required, then he's saying, well, I know what I gave you. I know how much. I know what I gave you. I know when I gave it to you and why I gave it to you. And I'm looking to see, will you honor me with what I gave to you? Will you honor me? He said, I know what I gave you. And so the returns are not going in that. Even when he talks about giving in 2 Corinthians 8 and 9, he says, you give according to what you've been given. And he looks at it based on where your heart was in terms you gave, less about the amount, because $5 to somebody means as much as $500 to somebody else. Because he looked at what you had and determined where your heart was. That's being the good steward. And the tendency is to start saying, well, look at what I gave. Well, God dealt with them when he dealt with the money changers. With the widow's mite, he said, oh, don't get caught up into that. He said, oh, don't get caught into that. He dealt with Ananias and Sapphira in Acts chapter 5. He said, now, I gave you this, and then you lied about what I gave to you. You lied about what I gave it to you, and you had a decision to determine what you would give back, and you lied. And I know what I gave you, but you made it seem like I did not give you that. Now, isn't that something? Now, the people didn't know, but I know, and you knew, and you came up here like this. Nickel and diming me. And so he says now, that's the whole thing. You hold it loosely, and being very conscious of what it is that he gave. And that's the difference between being hope-filled and hopeless, because you're giving him, you're trusting him with everything. Even when you think you're at the best place in your life, you still trust in him. You trust him the same when you think you're in your best place and in your worst place. You trust him the same. Nothing about it changes. Otherwise, he would never say from the rising of the sun to the going down of the same. He still is as worthy in the morning as he is in the evening. Now, should it be louder in the morning than it is in the evening because you say, I'm running out of energy? No, he said from the rising to the going down. He still is worthy, which also says, if he says morning and evening, he's also in between. It's all the same. So he's challenging you, he's pushing you, he's asking you to say, okay, where do you go with this? How far do you deal with? And what are you going to do with what I've given to you? It's what he's asking. What are you going to do with that? And to ask, what is it that you're holding on to so tightly that you're unwilling to let it go? Because that's it. You don't trust me. I gave it to you in the first place. Now, so what's the deal? You going to trust you? Or are you going to trust me? You going to trust you? Or are you going to trust me? That's what he's asking. You going to trust me or you going to trust you? And who do you trust the most? You or me? Now, you can do so much. I can do it all. And he's calling you. So he's calling you. All right, so here we are. I'm waiting on the feedback so we can see where we go. In that, hey, get it, deal with it while we're here, because it should be transformative enough where you got to move in another place, because he's anticipating that we do, that our whole view, our whole perspective changes. And did you know, when you're being a great steward, no, yes, ma'am.
Oh, So you talked about like when God is in it, it flows. But how does that connect to like growing pains and things like that you were talking about? Because growing pains may not necessarily, at least it doesn't appear like they flow. So how does it connect to when God is in it? Does that make sense?
Good, good. We're just getting started in growing pains, but it'll be different as it goes along. When something flows, picture a lake or a river and the water's running. It runs in the direction that it runs in. It doesn't back up and go in the other direction. It flows. The pace could pick up. More rain could cause it to go harder, but it keeps going in the same direction. It keeps going in the same direction. When it flows, flowing means then it does not require your effort or to do something spectacular to keep going. See, either there's an anointing on a person's life or there isn't. It cannot be manufactured. It can be mimicked, but it cannot be manufactured. It can be mimicked, but it cannot be manufactured. And that really is what that is what that is all about. So therefore, if God's hand is on something, if his hand is on it, nothing changes his hand. It just keeps going in that direction. If he's placed his hand on you for a certain thing, then you'll start finding everything starting to move in that direction. That's why he doesn't make mistakes in that regard. He's just looking for those who will cooperate with him. You had a follow-up? Okay.
Can you give like a life example?
About flow.
About flow and how that connects to growing pains, or you don't even want to go that direction?
Oh, hey, okay, all right. So, okay. So you want to get this connection between growing pains and flowing. Growing pains automatically produce something that was already in process. Let's say if a person was going to grow to be 5'10", and currently they're 5'4", the growing pains are on that path to get them to 5'10". Wow, how about that? Those pains were needful to keep stretching them from 5'4" to 5'10". So that's flowing. That's flowing. Yeah, it's flowing. It's flowing. See, I don't have answers for these things. God just give them to me. You just got to understand. It can't be scripted. It's just so God has to give it because that's what he'll do. That's what he'll do. Like, for instance, I don't solicit for engagements, speaking, training, and all of that. I get found because it flows. It's just like SLPS just reached out yesterday. Hey, could you come in and do this training? Well, I haven't talked to them, but I'll be going there to do some training. And it flows versus soliciting. And they have a whole new administration now, but it's still being called to come and do some training somewhere. It just flows. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When I was going through with getting my house and the house flooded, the different situations that I was going through, and I was talking with the Lord, praying with him, and I believe that he was working with me, and I was doing as I was supposed to at the time. And I believe that I was listening. I'm trying to get my question out. Relating to what we're talking about right now in things that I wanted, I felt like, I guess, God, okay, I'm not materialistic, and during the flood, I lost a lot of things, so that was not a worry, no concern there. Then I moved into the other house, and then all of those different things happened. Didn't quite go according to the way I want to say, I guess the only way I can say it is my plan. um, but still, I was trusting in God and believing in Him that He was going to work things out for me. So, I mean, it's still working itself out. It's still there. I'm not like going through depression or sadness. I still have joy. I'm still living. I'm, and still thanking God for whatever He decides for my life. So.
Did you get to the question?
I think so.
I'm still listening for the question. I'm still listening for the question. Okay.
Okay.
So are you answering your own question to realize that? So here's what it sounds like. What it sounds like, you had a plan. You were in pursuit of it. There's been a lot of things that's happened in between there. You're okay, but the plan did not fulfill itself the way you had intended.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
But
Okay.
there's still a question in there somewhere.
Why don't you all help somebody pull out a question out of all of this? Pull out a question out of this.
Okay. I didn't ask the question, I know, but I'll come back to it. I don't know.
Help a sister out. Somebody, please help her out. She's kind of.
I know He's in it. It's
All right. Let me answer a question. Let me answer a question that you're not raising.
okay.
And it's the question that you probably should raise. And the real question is, am I trusting me more than I'm trusting Him? And if I'm trusting me more than I'm trusting Him, then I'll keep questioning Him about why things are the way they are, versus I need to just turn all this over to Him. Let Him take it from here. Let Him take it from here. This is where I am. I want Him to take it from here. If I say, God, take it from here, then I take my plans off the table. That way I trust Him. God, you take it from here. I brought it to this point like running a relay. You take it from here.
I like that, but I thought I did give it to Him. I thought He was controlling everything.
You thought that based on what?
So just my conversation with Him, praying to Him, talking with Him. He knows everything that I'm dealing with, I'm going through. I'm still, I think, being a good steward, showing peace, joy. I believe I'm leaving it in His hands to take care of it.
How are you down on the inside?
I have peace.
Okay.
Or are you trying to see if you are living hopeful or hopeless? Is that the question?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie.
All right, so let's try to play the scenario out. Things went down the road a certain way. They went down the road a certain way, and it hit a space where it wasn't going as anticipated. Okay, it's good up to this point? Okay, so then when it gets to this place, you're perplexed. You're asking God what is happening right now. And you're waiting to hear something from Him that says, what is going on? I don't understand this because I've done A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and I'm still seeing this. Now, when you got to that point, what has happened since then?
It's a progress. Things are happening, but probably just not as fast as I would like for it to.
Now, you just answered the question. It's still in your hands because it's not according to. So the full release has not occurred. When the full release occurs, it's almost like I'll see you when I see you. It'll happen when it happens. I'm going to stay focused and do what I can. The outcome is up to him, and it won't be like my checking the oven to see is that cake risen up and is it ready to come out or not. I'm just going to leave it in there according to the time frame, the temperature being right, and when it's time to check it, I'm going to go look at it then. I'm going to trust the process. Otherwise, I'll keep looking in the oven to see is it good enough yet. I'll keep checking on this. I'll keep checking on that. When it is released, you all heard me say that. Your relief is in your release. There is no peace unless it's released. There's none. There's none. Because you'll always be wondering how it's going to turn out. And the hope-filled, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. See, the hope-filled says this. If there is no house, just kind of play this out now. It says, if there is no house ever again, and I have to move to a shack in a tree, it's okay. That's the hope field, because it says, I'm in this now, but however it turns out, it's okay with me. But I'm going to be diligent. I'm going to do that, but it's okay. It's okay. I won't try to make it be what I had intended it to be. It's like, don't even matter. It's a reset. It's a reset. Turning it over to him is always a reset, because my hands are off, and now I got to wait and see how he's going to unravel it and to be able to do it. Again. Even over the last couple of days, I had to end up taking a vehicle into the shop. It was stuff going on. It was stuff going on. They couldn't find it. Took it yesterday morning. They couldn't find what it was. They said, we still testing this, still testing that. And they were saying, this is not going like this. This is not going like that. And I said, well, you keep it. Give me a loaner vehicle. So I was driving a truck yesterday, like I was a truck driver, like a real truck now, you know. Yeah, it was like a real truck. I'm driving a truck. And it's like, didn't hear from them. It was like after 4 today, as far as I was concerned. Whatever. And they say, we got it figured out. We think we've done all this. We've talked to them. They're going to pay for it. They're going to do all this. And so I just politely went and got it. And now I'm driving again. Now, if I'm not saying this to you, you would never know it. If I'm not saying this, you wouldn't even give it a thought. You wouldn't even be thinking about this. But I'm just saying it went from knock, knock, cluck, cluck. All of these things were going on, and it just went on and just kind of said, they said, we don't know if we're going to be responsible for this. I wasn't concerned. I said, I dare you will be. I didn't go through all of that. It's like, no. Like, hey, whatever. Like, whatever. No. Like, oh. No. And do you know what I did when he said that? He said, well, so he said, we don't know what we're going to do. I said, and I just used the general manager name. I said, is so-and-so here? He said, he's walking around here somewhere. I said, well, do you all have any loaner vehicles in the meantime? That wasn't even on their agenda, but I asked. And they said, we got a couple of trucks. Are you okay with that? I said, sure, that and anything else that'll roll. I don't even care. It was going to be the Lord's responsibility. So whenever it was going to happen, it was going to happen. Today was off the table for me because it was after 4. It was off the table. I was like, hey, whatever. In other words, you got to trust him more than you trust you under all circumstances. And he wants you to use your brain. He wants you to use all of that, but don't trust you. Don't trust you. Even your greatest thoughts, your greatest ideas, you got to say, God, you know what? You allow me to be able to think. So here's my best offering to you. My best offering. But I'm not going to try to make my best offering turn out like this. Here's my best offering, God. Now, that's hope-filled. It's like, God, I'm giving you my best, but all I'm doing is, it's just like playing cards, poker. I don't even play poker, but I know at some point they throw the hands up there and say, here's what I got. and they put it up against everybody else. And what it is, I'm like, God, that's all I got. I don't know what they got, but this is all I got. Now, it's on him, and you keep on rolling. You keep on rolling. All of the time. That's any and all circumstances, because it probably is going to change. That's why you can't become too comfortable with it, because he might shift. When you turn it over to him, he may shift. When he shifts, it's like, what are you going to do? God, don't do this to me. God don't be doing this to me. I'm just getting used to this. He's like, that's why I'm moving you. Because you've become too comfortable. He's the reason why I'm shaking you up is because you become too comfortable and you feel like you're in control. But I'm about to knock you off out of the throne. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And that's I was going to say that, and that's the fear that people have, because they know they may have to shift, and they're not going to be comfortable with it. They're not going to like it.
Yeah, see, hey, life is a series of adjustments. Soon as you stop adjusting, soon as you stop, your flesh kicks in. You stop adjusting, the flesh rises up, because it starts to defend you. As soon as something different comes up, and then all of a sudden, I'm not ready to do that. Well, you have to ask yourself, why are you not ready to do it? And who is it going to benefit you to stay as is? Is it going to benefit you, or will he get the glory out of you making an adjustment? John 3:30 says, he must increase while you must decrease. Less of you and your junk. Elevating him, then he says, you're becoming more like me every day. Every time you shrink, and I get bigger. When you call my name before you mention your idea, that tells you that you're growing. There's another one. You call his name before you present your idea. That's an indication that you're growing. That's an indication, because it's like, he's got this. It's like God, he's got it. He's got it. Now, the question is, do you really believe that he does? Or are you like, let me check and see. I need to be sure. You know, I know what he said, but I need to check to be sure. I need to check to be sure. No, I mean, all right, anything else? I mean, while it's on the roll, anything else while you're on the roll before we go? I mean, you're going to be faced with tonight, you're going to have to go back to reflect. What have I been doing? And am I trying to justify? I mean, just kind of watch yourself now. If you find your thoughts trying to justify what you've been doing and why you're doing it, and start saying stuff like, I know that sounds good, yeah, but you find to justify why, that says is, that's a sign of hopeless, not hope-filled. He's calling you to change. He's calling you to change. He's calling you to change. He wants people, if you know Jesus Christ, he's calling you to resemble him more than your natural upbringing. He wants you to resemble him more. Now, talking to a gentleman today, I'll stop right here. They came in to talk to me, and they've been together for 35 years. He said, all 35, I've been using crack. He said, all 35. He said, up until 3 weeks ago. And here's what happened 3 weeks ago. He had to have emergency surgery, and his gut split. And he stopped on the spot because he knew, and he had just been whacking and cracking before they had to take him to ER and do the emergency surgery. So the cocaine was in his system while they're having to do the surgery, and he understood with them putting him under with the coke in his system, knowing that it could have taken him out, and his midsection had exploded, and he stopped when he came to and said, "That's enough." And it is not like he didn't know all along, because he also said, "I've been running from the Lord all this time." He said, "I know what I'm supposed to be doing." And why? He said, "But I just did not stop." And when I went on to ask him, "Why did you keep going knowing what it was doing?" He said, "Because I was liking it." Now, kind of take what he said. Now, you might not be doing coke, but what are you liking it? What are you liking it? That you haven't stopped. I mean, you follow what I'm saying? It's the same thing. His just happened to be crack. What's your drug of choice? His just happened to be crack. It just happened to be crack. Yeah. So for that length of time, then he said to me, he said, "I can't be tempted to go back because I know what it does." He said, "Over these 3 weeks, I've seen people using, and I'm looking saying, that was me." He said, "That's what I was looking like for 35 years. And he said, "I know that the devil doesn't want me to get this right." He said, "I know so many people out there who are doing it that I know God's going to use me to walk back out there to tell them they don't have to keep doing it." And he got locked in, and he's sitting there saying, he said, "I know." He said, "Because I know him." He said, "She been trying to tell me I need to go to a treatment program." He said, "I know they selling drugs in some treatment places, so I know I ain't going there." He said, "I know who's selling it in the treatment houses." That's the reality of the way that it is. So in other words, he made a decision. He made a decision. And he came in saying, "I don't need to talk to nobody. I don't want to talk to nobody. I only come because she said." By the time we were finished talking, then he realized that he did. Because I talked to him about fish grease and fried eggs. And he got the picture when I had to say to him, I said, "Tell me, if you've ever fried fish before, and that fish was good while you fried it, and the fish grease and the remnants of it was still in the skillet, and you thought about eggs, and you took those eggs and you throw them in there and you scramble them up, what were you going to taste first if you tried to eat those eggs?" And all of a sudden, a light bulb went off in his face. I said, "You've got 35 years of fish grease down inside of you. And now you're talking about taking some fresh eggs and eating them. You will never taste them unless somebody help you to know how to clean out your skillet." And all of a sudden, a light bulb went off. And he said, "I'll be coming back." That's exactly right. He understood. He knew. So in other words, you've got to make a decision. You want to run it, or you're going to let him run it. And that really is what it boils down. Now, here's the thing. Here's what you got to understand. We're going to stop right here. If you used to running stuff, you're going to battle with God about who's stronger, you or him. Because you got history of doing it your way and running it. And so when he beckons you to do something else, you're going to fight him. And you say, "No, I won't fight God." Yes, you will fight him. You'll be saying, "No, I can't see it. I'm not ready to do that." And but that's because you're trusting you more than you trust him. And that's why being around somebody more spiritually mature who will keep jamming you about where you headed is not right. And those who aren't really ready to do that, they don't want to be around somebody more spiritual who humanly will say, "You're not right. You're not right." So the first thing is when somebody starts talking about, "I want to go to God for God to straighten me up," he's going to use a human He's going to use a human, because that's what he's done historically. He used a human. He does it, but he sends them. So our time is up.